Hey everybody, my name is John.
I'm Bob. He's Bi.
They're Butch.
And together we are the Butch and the Bi.
And this is the Butch and the Bi, the podcast.
Wow.
Hey Bob.
Hey, John.
Fun fact about us. We like Spirited Away.
Yes.
It's a really great movie.
Yeah, it's one of your top 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Constantly competing for top 3, honestly. Yeah.
Yes.
It's just a near perfect film. It's amazing. We're not talking about that today.
No.
No, we are talking about My Neighbor Totoro, which originally released in 1988. Yes, it was that long ago.
Yeah.
It's very long ago. It was written and directed by I realized it's Miyazaki's the last name. Hayao
Miyazaki.
Hayao Miyazaki. And we watched the version that's on HBO Max, which is the version that's pretty much whenever you're watching it streaming now, it's going to be that version. It's the 2006 Disney re-release. There was another English dub version in 1993 produced by Fox that has gone the way of the dodo and is only available on physical media or other methods of getting things. So we watched that version and it starred Dakota Fanning, Ellie Fanning. What?
And that's Eli Manning. Sorry. It's just you did a very weird, there's 2 sets of siblings. They're the Mannings and the Fannings, and one's in sports and one's in acting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. The Fannings and the Mannings. That's a sitcom right there. It's like the Geico commercials with whichever Manning it is. And then there's a country music star, I think. They're always on like a tour bus together or something. I don't know. Advertising's weird. Don't do it, kids. Not even once. Ellie Fanning, Tim Daly, Leah Salonga?
Yeah.
Salonga, yeah, there we go. Frank Welker, Paul Butcher, Pat Carroll, also Frank Welker. We'll stop there. It's a very tiny cast, realistically. But yeah, it's...
You had never seen I had seen it before when I was trying to watch more Ghibli movies for joy and culture, but you had never expanded your boundaries beyond Spirited Away, so I was excited to see what you thought.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, actually, I want to know what you thought because you've seen this before. So
Yeah.
what was it like? When's the last time you watched it?
It's been a while, probably like 5 or 6 years.
Do you know did you watch this version?
No idea. Probably. I doubt. I didn't watch it on physical media. It wasn't old.
So it was probably this.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, almost certainly this version. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very sweet, comfortable movie. I love when I first watched this, I then immediately made a little white Totoro plushie because I liked it so much. I love the little guy, little anxious guy collecting acorns. It makes me very happy. But yeah, I just like the gentle magicalness of the world.
Yeah. It's a very threatening movie if you've never seen it before, and makes you worry that you will be sad, which there were points where I was getting sad because it really is. So first off, it's autobiographical. Hayao Miyazaki and his brother actually went through a similar experience with their mother being in the hospital over the summer one year when they had moved. So it was very like this was just what happened to him. And apparently originally the character was because he was like, I can't do it with like the 1-to-1. But originally it was supposed to be just one little girl. And so, yeah, it's just, it has that same coziness that Spirited Away is interesting because it's much more, the second she leaves the human realm, it's like very folklore ish, and this one is a lot more like you can't tell if it's a dream, you can't tell if it's a child's imagination, you can't tell if it's magic kind of thing. Like it's a much more these two kids in a new place, and they have some folklore from their father, who is the best movie dad ever. He's just so good. But yeah, it's really just really cozy in that sense, and like the relationship between the dad and the daughters and the sisters, and even like when they start meeting the neighbors and stuff, and like the little boy. But it's really good. It definitely is not better than Spirited Away. Spirited Away is better. This is what I'm just gonna say on that. I don't know if there's a community arguing over that. I'm sure there is. I'm just putting my hat in the ring as being the correct one.
The feather in your cap of deciding which Studio Ghibli film is the best.
Yeah, out of the two I've seen, yes, that is the one that is Spirited Away is the better one. But yeah, I really thought the mom was gonna die.
Yeah, I that's the sort of thing that you would think.
Yeah, like I was like, oh man, they're gonna Disney movie eventually. Like, but yeah, it is.
There are definitely some sad Ghibli movies. This is not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I need to watch more. I've also only kind of watched a handful, and I haven't watched the more serious, like historical drama ones, because I was generally looking for something cozy and not Grave of the Fireflies. But yeah, so we should continue, and we can
digging
watch
through the Ghibli verse.
Yeah.
Is there a big crossover movie at some point?
No,
I don't know if I can commit to that many movies then. I need a point to something.
Mm-hmm.
The plot can't just be the point. No plot points around here.
No. Only atmosphere.
I only want the aesthetic. Honestly, though, yeah, that's the thing about Ghibli movies is the aesthetic is like and especially because of like the time in which they're produced, like they're very good little time capsules of the culture in that area at that point in time. And like, it's just, you want to exist in that world. And there is a VR chat world that is just like a bunch of Ghibli things, including basically the entire house. When I would go there, I would just go to the Spirited Away stuff. I didn't know what all the rest of it was unless it was clearly like, yes, that's a moving castle. Like, so there was just this random house, and it's like fun. Like, oh, that's the thing. There are a bunch of cute little creatures, like spirits, in this movie, especially the like translucent little bunny rabbit thing, like the mini Totoro.
Yeah, the little white Totoro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
like,
very good.
I do love the little animation trick where they had it mostly translucent, and then the second it started marathon manning towards the house, it just goes solid. Like, I was like,
you gotta focus on being invisible.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I took it as just an animation cheat. I didn't think it was a character.
It seemed very. So that was the thing when watching it. It seemed very much like it was like partially invisible, like it was trying to be surreptitious. And then I was like, oh, there's a child following me. I'm going to go fully invisible. And then I was like, okay, I lost the child. I don't have to focus on that anymore. And then once she started chasing again, I was like, I just have to focus all my energy on running.
Yeah. Significantly less annoying kids than Chihiro. Whiny little brat.
I love but the movie is about her growing. But I also love that both of these movies start in like a car or going somewhere new. These kids at least make it to their destination.
This is the alt universe where Chihiro actually makes it to the new house and runs into a different horror show. Oh, speaking of horror shows, Cat Bus is the most unsettling thing I've seen on film since like 2 weeks ago when we watched that other movie. It unsettles me to no end that the way the door opens is just one of the windows expands and the flesh and fur stretches.
So John is now taking his most controversial stance, which is against beloved character, merch icon, Cat Bus.
it's okay to like horrific things. I do. I like horror movies. I just didn't expect this movie to like blue ball me with a mom death and the most horrifying thing I've ever seen in my life.
It's just so interesting where you draw the line constantly, because it's like also
you don't draw the line somewhere, Bob. Will there ever be a line?
But your line is like not a line. It is very
it's
careful wiggle.
Game.
Yeah, but also you saying like you can't tell if it's real or a dream or whatever. Like it's just magic. It's just that it's just magic.
Oh sure, but that's the thing. It's far more. I think there's far more interesting because like there's this scene where they planted they keep finding these acorns around.
Yeah. Well, he pays them for the umbrella and acorns.
Yeah, and so they plant them to get saplings, and they're not growing. It's kind of our little time jump montage of them waiting for these saplings to form, and they just go and go, and then eventually one night they wake up and they look outside, and there's Totoro and the other spirits doing a dance to encourage the growth, and they go out and dance along with them, and the tree grows and grows and grows, and they go on a whole Peter Pan to Neverland ride thing going on. And when they wake up in the morning, it's just the saplings have grown. And so I think it's, to me, like the way I was when I was watching it and interpreting, it's like a combination of those things where it's like, it's magical in the sense that like these kids are, see, I'm looking at it from the analytical perspective. These kids are going through a horrific situation with their mother. And so their dad is doing everything he can to support them, to support her. And he gives them the gift of this like beautiful story about these like tree gods that are like there to protect them as long as you protect them, which like in 2022 is a very salient message to have about like wildlife and trees and shit. Like, and so like, yeah, there's the literal magic side of it, which it's a Studio Ghibli movie, and I'm not disputing that there is or isn't magic in this movie, but I'm saying that the metaphorical magic is far more interesting to me from the narrative side of it, where it's like, because again, I think the dad is the linchpin of this movie. Like, he's so just, I don't know if it's a bias towards Tim Daly because I just love Tim Daly, but like I think there's the magic side of it, which is the you know, the magic of it, the real magic, so to speak, and then there is the familial magic, the like, I don't know, I think there's just something special about that too, and I think especially for kids who are in those kinds of situations to be able to, you know, look at something as simple as like a tree growing and have that be enough of a distraction for this situation. Like, I don't know, or like being told like, oh yeah, corn will make things better. Like the character of Granny, which by the way, I did notice that a lot of these like lines and like characters and stuff, he's just, Hayao Miyazaki's just been recreating the same movie over and over again, hasn't he? And everybody's just eating it up every time. Isn't that it? If I crack the code, do I need to watch any more of these?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. I'm excited for Spirited Away 3 Electric Boogaloo. I'm kidding.
Mm-hmm,
But the Granny character is very similar to Granny in Spirited Away, and she's so nurturing. And there's this great scene where Satsuki, the older one.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Satsuki, you know, she's been being strong for her sister and for her dad and this whole movie, and there's this scene where they get the telegram and she just breaks down to Granny, and like, I don't know, it's like, that's the thing, she's the older kid and that's hard. You were the baby. So like, yeah. I don't know, it like definitely as the older kid I was like, it's hard to be like, you have to both be aware up here with the adults, and then you also have to be aware down here with the kids, kind of thing. And as someone that spent a lot more time like wanting to interact with adults and with like my, you know, my aunts and uncles and my teachers and all that stuff, and wanted to like, I guess, prove my worth to them, sort of thing. Like, you know, especially when you're going through a trauma, it's, yeah, I think there's a lot, there's the magic of the creatures is wonderful in this movie, but I think the magic of the community and family is also a very poignant part of this movie.
Yeah, no, I think we absolutely agree. Just the way you talk about things confuses me.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I just hear people talk about like like Totoro. Like that's like the only thing I've ever heard anybody talk about this movie. Like when I watched Adam Savage's, he does his one day builds, and he did for Comic-Con like 4 years ago or something. He did a Totoro costume, which now I want to make that Totoro costume because it's probably the easiest thing to fucking make. But it's when he was talking about, he was just talking about Totoro, and like, I don't know, nobody talked about the other themes of this movie. I had no idea the mom was sick. Like that was the thing. Like I went into this movie only knowing that like, oh, Totoro's this little creature. I didn't know the soot spirits were in this at all, and I was like, oh yay, it's spirited away again. I didn't know that there was a second little girl, because I don't know if you've noticed this on the poster, May is edited out. So the scene at probably one of the most iconic scenes in the movie is them waiting at the bus stop for their dad to get home from the university so they can give him his umbrella, and Totoro's standing there, and Satsuki has May on her shoulders while May is sleeping. There's no point in that scene where Satsuki isn't next to Totoro and May isn't on her shoulders. But in all of the marketing materials for this movie, May is edited out completely, and it's just Satsuki and Totoro, which is interesting because May has more of a relationship with Totoro than Satsuki does.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that comes down to the original core marketing, like the original core. No, I was going to say the original core plan was to have it just be one girl, but yeah. So that's the thing, is I just went in with very little information, and so like Totoro's cute and Cat Bus is horrifying, but like, I don't know, I was far more endeared to some of the other stuff. I think because Spirited Away has a lot of whimsy in its creatures and spirits that this movie has a much more simple approach to. The spirits are all very, it's like you've got the soot balls, and then you've got various sizes of Totoro, like, and they're cute. And I think the scene where Totoro is like, he has the umbrella and the splashes are coming down, he's like freaking out a little, and then he realizes like, oh no, I like this, and then he just shakes all of the trees loose and makes it stop raining. Like, it's just very, it's very fun to watch, but yeah, just doesn't feel as the meaty on the bones kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because as you say, like, Chihiro goes into a totally different world, whereas this is an exploration of the natural world that we live in day to day. But yeah, it's I am now going to be singing the theme song at you regularly because it comes to my mind. Just Totoro. But
it comes to your mind a lot, even before that.
Yes, no. Mostly because I want to sing potato at you. And then I was kind of thinking of other things that would fit with that. And I had existential crisis. But I don't know. We were talking about this some yesterday. I was talking about how since childhood, I have been frustrated with the trope of like this magic that you can only experience when you're very young. And I was terrified of growing up because I was like, well, I haven't experienced any of this yet. I had a very acute imagination, but also a very like awareness that it was imagination. I never had a proper imaginary friend. I never had a belief in like fairies or anything. I was like, that's not real. And so like reading these stories, I was always like, well, if anything magical is going to happen to me, it's going to happen soon. And if it doesn't, I'm going to age out of it. And that sucks. So I understand it. And you were talking about some of it's like, well, the thing about growing up is you get a bunch of things you have to do and you can't pay attention to the little magical moments. And so it all makes sense, and I understand it as a trope, but it's also traumatized me since childhood.
Yeah. Well, it's why I like photography. Like, that's the thing about photography is that is someone taking the time to notice the beauty in something small or mundane, right? Like, you need to if you're going to capture that image. And, like, I'm by no means a good photographer, but like I love just walking around downtown and taking pictures because you notice all the things that people are always running past. And when I was working down there, like started to get to that point where it was like every day was like, get down there, get home. And I used to love being downtown. And so it's a similar thing of like, there's just living in that space and not worrying about exterior factors. And as you get older, and especially like the way we live right now, where technology is screaming the news in our face and it's always awful all of the time, it's, yeah, like that childlike wonder is like, it's not that it disappears. I think it's just harder to get to as an adult kind of thing. And I think that's the thing about watching these types of movies as an adult, is it's the reminder of that. I think that's why I often find myself like on the verge of tears when it comes to movies like these, is because it's that like, right, I'm in a situation that is not great right now, and this is the reminder that I need to make those amends kind of thing, like to fix it. And yeah, it's,
I guess that is also, that anxiety as a child has also informed the way that I interact with the world, which, you know, that regularly I'm just like, oh, look at this thing. And you're like, well, we're walking. I'm like, yeah, but this concrete's really fucked up. It was, yeah.
I have fucked up concrete at home. The fucked up concrete at home, it's a brick.
He'd eaten away completely underneath it. It was a sort of situation of like, at some point I'm going to step on this and it's just going to snap. And it was.
Oh, you mean like that parking lot in Penn Hills?
God.
Or do you mean the bridge at Frick Park?
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean the road outside of the Wyndham? How about the train tracks above Station Square? Sorry, I can keep going because Pittsburgh's infrastructure is structured poorly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, but I think because I try to make a point of being like, oh, there's flowers growing where flowers were not planted. They're just volunteer flowers. Or like, oh, the moon looks really pretty. Or I know what that bird sounds like. That's that bird. So I think.
Yeah, Bob, we know you know what that bird sounds like, you motherfucker. You and your birds.
Blame my father.
Carl, that kills people.
But yeah, so childhood anxiety has turned into me just being a very goofy adult. And also it's part of why I like hanging out with kids, is getting to experience that secondhand and see them learn about the world, because it's so, when you don't know anything, all information is so interesting and cool. Like, and every time I learn something, I'm just like, what the fuck? We're so lucky that there's all this life and diversity around us, because diversity is good and how things survive. So whenever I learn about these things, I'm just excited again. And yeah, I think I have mostly managed to keep myself from entering the magic dying adulthood, I feel like. Yeah. I also wasn't raised with any belief in like Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy or anything, because my mother felt that she had been lied to, and so she was like, I'm not going to lie to my kids. And so, but
what's the point of Bible thumping if you're going to skip out on Santa Claus?
I also didn't, my mother didn't specifically say fairies aren't real, but my friend who was like, fairies, I was like, fairies aren't real. I was just, you
weren't presented with these as possible truths as a child, so it was always.
Yeah, and I also just had that sort of mindset, like I was extremely creative and I loved to come up with worlds. I don't know, I had a special interest in religion. I like to know a lot of stuff about the religion I was raised in, which I was Episcopalian. And then at a certain point, I realized I didn't have faith. I had just kind of accepted it as a fact of life. And once I questioned it, I did not have that anymore. So I didn't really have that sense of like, all of these things are real and magical. And now, I guess now I am the dad, and I'm very much like, that is the actual magic is everything you can see and feel and the connections that people have to each other. And I find that very important. So, yeah.
Speaking of finding things very important, Bob, would you like to do some trivia?
Okay.
On I'm so excited about this trivia game because I made it about Studio Ghibli in general.
Oh boy.
Yeah,
Even though you've only watched 2 movies and I've watched like maybe 5 or 6.
Exactly. That's okay because it's trivia I would know the answers to.
Okay.
Only because I looked them up. Oh, it would have helped if I formatted this correctly earlier. Hold on, let me just... Can I turn this into a wraparound or... Oh, jeez. Oh, man. Oh, jeez, Rick. Oh, jeez.
See, I always perceive you as the
Prepared?
more... always prepared, but as the professional one. I mean, like, he does all this stuff, but he's the one who doesn't mute his phone and also doesn't... He's like, I'm going to do a bit, and then doesn't prepare his bit.
I prepare bits all the time.
But you don't format them to be easy for yourself.
No, I normally do. This was the first time I didn't for this. Okay, are you ready?
I am ready.
Great. Question number 1. There are 2 U.S. dubs of this movie. The one we watched was recorded in 2004 when Disney bought the distribution rights for the U.S. releases of Studio Ghibli films. But which cult classic horror studio was responsible for the 1993 version?
Oh, man. You said it was...
Fox was the... Yeah, but it's a sub.
Yeah, the smaller cult classic horror.
Mm-hmm.
Cult classic horror. I don't... Oh, man.
If you need one of their movies, I can give it to you.
I think I'd be more likely to think of a movie than actually know what the studio is.
Oh, sure. If you think you can guess a movie that the studio has done, then go for it.
Trick or Treat.
No. It's older. You gotta go back to 1993, Bob.
93. Old movies. Is it Nightmare on Elm Street?
No.
No. Okay.
I'm gonna give you the one of the movies they've done,
Mm-hmm.
and then you tell me if you think you know the publication or the studio. Toxic Avenger.
Is it just like Universal Monsters? Like
No,
I don't know.
it's Trauma.
Oh,
Yeah, they
I
are.
would not
They
have
also
gotten
did Class of Nukem High.
that.
They were a bunch of like B horror sci-fi films in the 80s and 90s.
Fascinating.
Yes. Speaking of fascinating, in an effort to communicate their goals of becoming a force within the animation industry, Ghibli used the Italian word that means what phrase? Or Ghibli is the Italian word for this phrase.
Incredible stuff.
Close, but no, not at all. No, I will give you a hint. It is a animation. It is a force that is featured seemingly in a lot of Studio Ghibli films, and is heavily featured in the movie we just watched.
Wind?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So like
I realize this is going to be hard, but it's a summer wind in the Sahara is what Ghibli means in Italian.
Wild.
Yeah.
I did not know Italian was one of those languages that had a hyper-specific words like that.
Apparently. Yeah, I was like, whoa. Okay. 2026 will see the release of Hayao Miyazaki's likely last film, How Do You Live? But originally, the Studio Ghibli 2013 release was his final film. What was that film?
Oh, man. Guess I remember people talking about this. Is it the one with the planes?
Yeah. No, not planes as in like vroom vroom.
As in like wide open planes?
Yeah. I was like, yeah, you got it, planes. But I was like, oh wait, no, not by.
Because there is
not
one because there's a couple that feature planes pretty heavily.
Sure, but I feel like that comboed with recency gives you.
Yeah, no. I don't know.
Say a recent Studio Ghibli movie.
When Marnie was there.
No, it is The Wind Rises.
Oh, yes. I thought that had planes.
It might have planes. I'm just thinking of the poster that I looked at that has a plane. Like a large area of land.
I'm pretty sure it does have planes that fly in it also. So
I've only seen 2 movies, Bob. Why did you pick me to make this trivia?
I did not. You do this of your own accord.
Okay. Two pop culture icons were influenced by Studio Ghibli's work in leading them to create some of the most famous video game/game series to date. Hironobu Sakaguchi created the first Final Fantasy game, inspired by Nausicaa in the Valley of the Wind, which also, again, I'm noticing a trend here of the wind. And then Shigeru Miyamoto created Donkey Kong's original rival and beloved damsel saver,
Mario.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're both inspired. I think that's fun that they're inspired by Studio Ghibli films. And then, last question, Bob.
Okay, wow.
This is a biology question. There is an anatomical error when May runs into the goat while trying to get to the hospital. What is it?
Does it not have proper goat eyes? I thought it did.
No, you're in the right part of the... You're like in
Goats
the right...
don't have long tongues?
No, I'll give you one more guess.
Does it make the wrong sound?
No, it's... Goats don't have upper teeth, and when it grins at May, it has a full rows of teeth on both top and bottom. Yeah.
For that very unsettling goat smile.
Yeah, much like the very unsettling cat bus smile. Fun fact, the goat was actually the cat bus, and it was kind of like Wizard of Oz, when it's like, you farmhand were the scarecrow, and you other farmhand were the Tin Man, and you other farmhand. Wow, I'm noticing a trend here. All the men in my life have been translated into weird fantasy characters.
Yes, the Jon Marek story.
Hong Kong. Bob, do you have anything else to add? Not that. Anything but that. Not a burp.
That's why I leaned back from the microphone. No, I'm good. Watch these movies. Appreciate this old animation. Also, just got some classic things like food looking really good and appetizing, and really pretty rain animation.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, we glossed over it. Pat Carroll just passed away in July. She voiced Granny. She was also the voice of Ursula. And that's, she had a good run, I guess.
Such a weird cap to the episode.
It was a weird episode. Anyways, you can visit www.thebutchandthebite.com. That is A&D, not ampersand, because the internet does not like ampersands. That's where you can find all the places you can follow us, all the places you can download the podcast. If you don't like the current platform you're listening on, well, change it up maybe. I don't know. And you can also find our link to our YouTube, where you can watch the video version of this podcast if you want to see our faces doing the thing. Ayo. Next week, we will be talking about Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. So that'll be fun. That was a fun, cute little movie. And then there's also a blog post up on our website that kind of gives you a fun little update of where we're at with stuff and some more of the upcoming episodes. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. You can catch us August 12th, I believe, at Steel City Improv Theater. Friday. As part, we're opening for the Herald team at Steel City Improv Theater in Pittsburgh.
East Liberty.
East Liberty. Thanks. I don't know where anything is anymore.
Yeah, you're a South Hills boy.
I am. I crossed so many rivers and bridges moving here. We crossed back and forth so many times my internal compass got turned around. It's like when you rub a magnet on a needle.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, but like backwards. Because that's how magnetism works. You just ask the teacher from Stranger Things. He knows all about magnets. So does Joyce Byers. Do you see what I have to put up? Bye.
Butch.